Despite missing multiple games with injury, Ohio State's Jeremiah Smith is a repeat winner of the Richter Howard Receiver of the Year award. Smith already ranks among the top 6 in OSU history with 26 touchdown catches, had at least one scoring grab in 20 of 27 career games. He just finished his sophomore year, remember. He is also one of 3 finalists for this year's Biletnikoff Award. Nebraska's Emmett Johnson is now the first Cornhusker to ever be named the Big Ten's Amici Dane Running Back of the Year. Johnson ranks 3rd in all of FBS football with 1,451 rush yards. After finishing the year with 5 straight games of more than 100 yards on the ground, Johnson became the first Husker with at least 8 100-yard rushing games in the same season in more than a decade. Near and dear to Jake's heart, the Qualec Clark Tight End of the Year award goes to Oregon's Kenyon Sadiq. Sadiq is the Ducks' leader in pass receptions and receiving touchdowns. His 490 receiving yards leads all Big Ten tight ends, and his 8 touchdown catches are the most for any player at his position in all of college football. Sadiq also a finalist and the favorite for the 2025 Mackey Award. As you take a look at the offensive line, a little bit tougher to evaluate the big guys up front, so there's always some disagreement between the coaches and the media. The coaches chose Bo Stevens and J.C. Davis. The media going with Penn State's Big O and Jennings Dunker of Iowa. Both groups agreeing on Logan Jones, Emmanuel Pregnon, and Carter Smith. Jake, I mentioned the talent that is part of that first team, especially at the skill positions. Out wide with Smith, Tate, and Lemon at that tight end spot. I just think that you would have to look back multiple years to any conference to find that level of skill at those positions.
That was my first thought there, Rick, is these guys, yeah, getting the all Big Ten honors is impressive, but most of these guys, or a number of these guys, are the best or in the running for the best at their position in all of college football. We know Jeremiah Smith. Since he was a freshman, he's one of the best. But Mekhi Lemon is also a Biletnikoff finalist. I personally voted for Carnell Tate as a Biletnikoff finalist because his contested catch rate, 85% contested catch rate. That is an absurd run that he's on this season. Even Kenyon Sadiq, he's a finalist for the Mackey Award. So these guys are completely loaded, Rick, and they got some good quarterbacks to distribute the ball to them as well.
Well, that's the thing as well. I mean, we talk about how good Ohio State's defense has been this year. Indiana's defense has been terrific as well. I just can't remember a time, and there have been some great offensive players in this league since the Big Ten Network launched in 2007, but the collection of skill and guys, Jake, who we look at and say, you're going to be first-round picks, high first-round picks, and likely future all-pros at the next level.
Yeah, I mean, we knew that's what Ohio State does, so that's not a surprise to anybody. But as the conference has grown and adapted over time, like when I was playing, you think of the Big Ten, you're thinking run the ball, defense, special teams, and all those things truly do matter. But the level of skill position has been elevated. The level of quarterback play in the conference has been elevated as well, and it's certainly those things. It's a circular thing that feeds itself.
Quarterback play, transfer portal, you put those two things together. It is a perfect segue to our big stat as we get set to introduce the most important offensive award of the year. It goes to Fernando Mendoza. The big stat presented by Gatorade shows you the numbers why Mendoza is the Greasy Breeze quarterback and Graham George Offensive Player of the Year, leads the nation with 32 passing touchdowns. That's also an all-time IU single-season record. Mendoza is the first FBS quarterback in, check this, 30 years to post at least 3 games in the same season with at least 4 touchdown passes and a 90% completion rate. And we are absolutely thrilled that Fernando Mendoza is with us for today's big interview. So, Fernando, first and foremost, congratulations. It has been an amazing run. All these honors bestowed upon you. So we appreciate you taking some time because I'm guessing that this has been an insanely busy week for you.
That's exactly right, Mr. Pizzo. Thank you for yourself and everybody on the Big Ten Network that is having me on today. First of all, I want to give all the glory to God. And like you said, this week is an unimaginably busy week. We have the Big Ten Championship, the biggest game for a lot of our players' lives at stake right here. Such a great opportunity for the Hoosiers, and we can't wait to capitalize on it.
Fernando, you're getting all these honors bestowed upon you. You just finished off an unbeaten regular season. Now you have a chance to play for not just a Big Ten championship, but a national championship. honestly, how much did you envision this being a possibility before you took your very first snap of the year?
I knew that the group of guys and the group of coaches that we had within the facility was a special group. It wasn't a group that was just good at football and good at coaching. It was a group that really meshed well together and really what the game of football is all about, camaraderie, going towards a singular goal. With the group of guys that we had, we really focused on 1 week at a time. No matter if it was Oregon week, the UCLA week, we always just focused 1 week at a time. And then now we're ended up being 12-0 with a great opportunity in front of ourselves to be able to compete for a Big Ten championship and hopefully compete for a national championship at the end of the year.
You and this team provided some of the can't-miss moments of 2025, moments that people will be talking about for a very long time. I know this may be an impossible question for you to answer, but do you have a favorite moment of the season?
There are a lot of favorite moments from the season, and a lot of my teammates' favorite moments from the season. However, I think it's really important to capitalize that none of those moments could be done without the entire team. Whether it's Omar Cooper Jr.'s spectacular catch, the defense, special teams, the entire offense plays such a pivotal role in that. Whether it was a comeback win at Oregon, the entire team, although these moments are capitalized by highlight plays, the entire team played such a pivotal part in all these highlight moments. And my favorite moment is the next one. It's going to be the next one that our team goes towards and the next goal that our team goes towards.
That's a great answer, but I do have to follow up because I am curious. Did you actually think that Omar got his foot down initially after that catch? Did you originally think that was a touchdown?
You know, as a quarterback, especially whenever you're throwing a back end line ball, you're always taught to throw it right under the goalpost. And that's what I did. However, I thought I threw it a little too high and couldn't really see because I got hit at the moment and I was on the floor. But once I got up, I saw Omar spike the ball, the entire team going crazy, and it was such a pivotal point in that game and pivotal point in this season. It honestly did not resonate with myself until after the entire play and when I was on the sideline and I really watched the play on the iPad and I was like, wow, that is the catch of the year by far. But what a great moment that was affected by so many great people within the program.
Not just catch of the year, I'd argue the catch of a very long time that we've seen certainly inside the Big Ten. There are special moments everywhere that you share with everybody on this team, but I'm curious as to how much more special this year has been for you and your brother to be able to share it together.
Yeah, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. Not a lot of people get to play college football with their brother, and to even surpass that, being in the same quarterback room as your brother, having him as a brother, a leader of the team, and also a mentor towards myself, helping me along all the bumps and bruises along the way. Having him, seeing his success, seeing his development, it's such a special moment for my family and I, and it's an opportunity that I knew whenever I entered the transfer portal, I could not take for granted. And this is a moment that when we're 65 years old at a family reunion, we'll be talking about this for the rest of our lives.
You know, when you're playing as well as you are and you become part of the national conversation, people love to give you nicknames. My favorite that I've heard for you is Fernando Mendoza. What do you think of that one? Do you have any others that you like?
Yeah, I think that's a great nickname. And the Heisman conversation is such a blessed and honored conversation to be a part of. Again, I give all the glory to God, even for myself being in that conversation, as before, none of the players on our team were really on those super national conversations to begin the year. But I think it's just a testament. All these end-of-the-year awards, they're really team awards, as all the players that are up for these are on the best teams in college football. And I just really can't thank my teammates, my coaches, and the entire program enough for elevating myself into that conversation. And a lot of other players in our team are up for a lot of end-of-year awards, and I know they could say the same.
Now, I know that neither you nor your Ohio State counterpart, Julian, Sayin, are looking at Saturday's game as a Heisman competition. It's a competition for the Big Ten championship, but many folks out there are saying, listen, this could potentially be the separator for the Heisman Trophy. So knowing that there could be two completely different answers to this question, how much have you thought about the Heisman? How much do you care about the Heisman?
Yeah, I would say that the Heisman is an incredible honor. It is an incredible honor not only to have the opportunity to win it, but to have the opportunity to go to New York. And I don't want to get ahead of myself there. However, my main goals are the team's main goals. I always try to stay as selfless as a team leader can be. And our main goal is to win the Big Ten championship on Saturday and then go as far in the playoffs as we can. The Heisman would be fantastic for a lot of people here in Bloomington, including myself. However, I'm focused on Saturday and to give my team the best chance to win, as I know that's what we're all working towards. And beginning of the season, we weren't, hey, we want to win the Heisman Award. We want to win the Big Ten championship, and we want to win the national championship. That's our goal. And there's a lot of other points this season, and obviously I'm not a part of the Heisman committee. I don't make that decision, so I just try to control the controllables and give my best so my team could have the best shot on Saturday.
All right, so as you get set then to face Ohio State on Saturday, I know you spent a lot of this week watching this Buckeye defense. They're on an historic pace in terms of fewest points allowed, fewest yards allowed. What jumps off the screen when you're in that film room watching this Ohio State defense?
Yeah, the Ohio State defense is one of the best defenses in the nation and leads all those statistics for a reason. Coach Patricia, what a fantastic defensive coordinator. He was an NFL defense coordinator for a long time, and it shows in the tape. The defense is extremely athletic, headlined by Caleb Downs. What a fantastic player. And what really jumps out on tape for myself is the way the defense plays together, especially when you get so many great athletes, so many future NFL players on that defense. It's easy for a player or two to try to make a superstar play, and they do, but the way they all play together and in that scheme is truly special, as it is a special defense, and the way that they play with each other, communicate with each other, and truly are all on the same string and all on the same page is something that I need to watch out for as a quarterback.
All right, Fernando, let's finish at the start. I want to take you back to your coming out of high school. You commit to Yale with no big-time major offers. You decide to go to Cal. You're redshirted for a year. You have 2 really good years there. Then you transfer. Now you are in this conversation and also projected to be a future top 3, possibly the #1 overall pick in the NFL draft. So I'm curious, if I take you back to late summer 2022 and I lay all this out for a soon-to-be 19-year-old Fernando Mendoza, and I tell him this is going to be reality, how does he respond to me?
The summer of 2022, I was going into my first year at Cal. It was, if you would have told me that then, I would have been definitely surprised and flabbergasted. However, you always hear all these motivational speakers, whether it's former NFL players, say, just put the work in. Exponentially, you're going to get exponentially better. And then all of a sudden, one day, you're going to be like, wow, I've gotten so much better and so much progress has been made. And that's the point of my journey. Going back from senior year, only one committable offer before my senior year, Yale. Then at the end of my senior year, only one committable scholarship offer, Cal Berkeley or UC Berkeley. And then now making the transfer to Indiana and then being able to be on a team that is 12-0. What a special opportunity. What a blessing by God. And I think this is such a good point of not to get complacent, as now we're in a position as an entire team of moments we've been working towards our entire life. If you would have told anybody on the team, hey, you're going to be the #2 team in the nation, 12-0, and you're going to have a shot at the Big Ten championship, what would you do with it? And I think everybody on the team, as a lot of our players on the team have been underdogs their entire life, would take the opportunity and rise to the occasion. So what a special moment for myself, what a special moment for my teammates. However, we all know that although that we're at this peak and it may look like a pinnacle, we still have so much more of the mountain to go and so much more learning and just that never-ending process of getting better.
You do have a great future ahead of you. And I got to say, selfishly, I'm really happy that I think you're going to spend a lot of time playing pro football, because by the time you're ready to be done, then I'll be done here and I'll be retired. You're so well-spoken. You know college football so well. You'll eventually probably maybe make your way back to this kind of seat, but I'm glad the timing won't overlap. I can leave this seat warm for you. I know you have other business to take care of first. He is Fernando Mendoza, the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year. Fernando, great to catch up. Really enjoyed chatting with you. And, of course, wish you and Indiana the best of luck this weekend against Ohio State.
Thanks so much for having me on. Again, God bless. Go Hoosiers.
Indiana tackle Carter Smith has been named the Remington Pace Offensive Lineman of the Year. Smith is the first Hoosier to ever win the award, following a year in which he had the second highest pass blocking grade among tackles and also ranked among the top 8 in the nation in run blocking. That's according to PFF. Smith is sure to be a key cog for the Hoosiers, especially inside the red zone, where the Ohio State defense has been nothing short of impenetrable.
Looks like they're going to do the tush push, and they don't get in. Ohio State does it again.
And he's not going to get anything out of that. 4th down and goal to the 7. Grunkemeyer in the end zone. Intercepted. Caleb Downs.
This is a defense that just is so difficult. It's remarkable how well they play defense inside the 5-yard line.
I could throw up every stat that Ohio State's defense has put up this year, and you'd ask, are they playing against West Comax Junior High? It's almost inconceivable to see how good this defense has been in terms of points per game allowed, red zone efficiency, total yardage allowed. Even the best offenses in the country can't really crack the code against Matt Patricia's defense, and Indiana's offense certainly qualifies as one of the best, one of the most efficient in the country. Rejoined by Jake Butt. We just heard from Fernando Mendoza. We know he will have his moments. Surratt and Cooper are terrific, but you have to run the football first and foremost to establish what you can do as an offense. And if Indiana's had one struggle this year offensively, it's been running the ball against really good run defenses, so that becomes a huge key right off the bat, and especially on 1st and 10.
Yeah, look, I mean, both these teams are anomalies. Like, Indiana's the best team Ohio State has played. Ohio State's the best teams Indiana's played. So you have to take all the stats and numbers within context and within reason. And Indiana has the gross total of their rushing numbers are outstanding on the season. But you think about the 3 games that came down to the wire: Oregon, Iowa, Penn State, even throw in Wisconsin. That was close going into half. Iowa, Oregon, and Wisconsin are all top 25 run defenses. Penn State also a great run defense. Penn State's the only time they eclipsed 3 yards per carry. Those other 3 games, they were not able to eclipse 3 yards per carry. And why that matters, one, Ohio State is a top 5 run defense, but Indiana is a RPO-based system. Mendoza is supposed to read the defense, and he's going to hand the ball off based on where your weak point numbers are, or then pull it and throw. The problem with Ohio State is they're so good in the trenches, they don't need to bring extra bodies in the box to stop the run. So what that means is in an RPO, there is no weak point. It's going to be on Carter Smith in the Indiana offensive line to win and get some movement up front. It'll be a fun matchup. Carter Smith, O-lineman of the year. Arvell Reese, linebacker of the year.
Caden McDonald, defensive lineman of the year.
It's going to be a battle
for Ohio State. And it doesn't all come down to red zone efficiency, but to me that is such a huge part of this game, especially for Indiana, because you look at what Ohio State has offensively. You know the Buckeyes going to score some points.
Right.
So Indiana, when they get inside the 20, they cannot settle. As good as Nico Radicic has been, he doesn't miss field goals. You can't settle for field goals against this Ohio State defense.
You can't. And, you know, you're schematically trying to scheme and get lucky against Ohio State. You'll have better luck trying to solve the secrets of the universe. They're not going to be vulnerable. They're not going to be out of position. So then it becomes about players down in the red zone. You saw Michigan try to throw a back shoulder to Donovan McCulley. They couldn't connect. The good thing for the Hoosiers, they have players. They have Elijah Surratt, and we've seen Mendoza go to him in key situations against Oregon. Back shoulder fade, dime, just like you saw there. Of course, the Penn State catch, the play of the year. Fernando Mendoza hits Omar Cooper. And then there's this. It's Mendoza's legs. But again, I say, Rick, with Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles, those guys are the antidote to a quarterback that can rush against you. Remember Washington, that's the best red zone team Ohio State's defense has faced this year. DeMond Williams is a mobile quarterback. 2 field goals, no touchdowns in that game. So Ohio State, I really think that it's going to be hard to run the ball down there. Omar Cooper, Elijah Surratt, they're going to have to make plays against Ohio State secondary.
Who came on
and Charlie
late,
Becker
was huge, especially when Surratt was hurt. I do wonder, we have seen a propensity for officials sometimes in championship games to favor the offense. Davison Igbinosun was an All-Big Ten selection, but he's very handsy. He's one of the most penalized corners in all of college football the last couple of years. I do wonder if you get matchups with Igbinosun on guys like Surratt or Cooper, does Mendoza just throw it up and hope if you don't make the catch, you get a flag? Sometimes it's not the worst philosophy against a defense, especially like Ohio State. Ohio State quarterback Julian Sayin is the Thompson Randall L. Big Ten Freshman of the Year. Sayin leads the nation with a 78.9% completion rate, which is on pace to set the all-time single-season FBS record. Sayin's 30 touchdown passes rank 3rd in the country, while he also leads all of college football in passer efficiency. And oh yeah, he just beat Michigan. And with that, welcome Julian Sayin into the show, hustling over from class. Truly appreciate you making some time. Julian, it's been a phenomenal year. You guys are unbeaten. I mentioned the records that you're on pace to set. You're the Big Ten Freshman of the Year, and you did just help lead this team to a victory over Michigan for the first time in 6 years. How do you kind of compartmentalize all of that, knowing what still lies ahead of you guys?
Yeah, it's been a great honor. We're playing a great conference in the Big Ten, so it's a great honor. But we have still more work to be done. We're excited about the matchup this weekend, and it was a great win last weekend. But we got to move on to next week because this is the one we want. We haven't won the Big Ten since 2020, so we're fired up and excited about the matchup.
It is such a turnaround because so much emotion goes into that game against Michigan. So how long did you guys allow yourselves to truly enjoy that moment, what it meant for everybody, before you started to turn your attention to what awaits this weekend?
Yeah, we know how much, the game means to the state of Ohio and the Buckeye Nation. It was awesome to celebrate on that Saturday. But once we came in that Sunday, we had to look in our eye that, we had to get this one.
I'm curious as to your approach after that early pick against Michigan. I think there were some folks back there who were like, oh, no, here we go again. But you calmed, you settled, and you were phenomenal after that one mistake. What mentally did you do to make sure that that one mistake didn't affect the rest of the football game?
I think in our quarterback room, we just talk about, keep battling adversity and, just keep swinging. And that's kind of our motto as an offense is just keep swinging and keep playing. And, if adversity is going to hit, we're just got to keep fighting through that, keep playing. So that was kind of our mindset.
I've heard analysts talk about your evolution as a quarterback from the Texas game to now. I'm curious, how do you describe your own evolution as a quarterback, as an offensive leader from the start of the season until today?
I think just getting more comfortable in the scheme and, just having those reps under my belt. You can't really teach the reps that you get in the game. So I think just getting more under my belt.
So what was the relationship like, and what is the relationship like between you, between Ryan Day, between Brian Hartline? Obviously, two guys who have a ton of skill in terms of offensive scheming and game planning.
Yeah, I think Coach Day, Coach Hartline, Coach Fessler, quarterback coach, they all do a great job of teaching the position and coaching up off the scheme really well. And I've learned a lot from all three of those people and just really advanced my football knowledge to the next level.
What is the best part from a quarterback's perspective of having receivers to throw to like Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate, among others, in that receiver room?
I think those guys are just, really explosive players. Ones who can go up top and make contested catches. We have a lot of trust in those guys. And our whole receiver room, we got a lot of good receivers in our receiver room. And I've had really good players in our offense.
Some of the catches that we've seen those guys make, I go back to a couple that Jeremiah made this year, and I know you see it in practice all the time. Have you stopped being amazed by what he can do physically? Yeah,
I think, the sky's kind of the limit for him physically. We see it in practice every day, some of the catches he makes. But, he's a really humble player also, and, he's a great teammate. And I think that's what we love about him the most.
All right, so now I know you guys turn all the attention to Indiana this weekend. They're a team whose defense maybe is somewhat overshadowed because they score a ton of points. I know that you guys are taking nothing for granted, as good as your offense is. What jumps out when you watch this Hoosier defense?
I think Indiana's, they're a really good defense. They're coached really well. They play hard. They're really sound in their fundamentals and technique. So it's going to be a great challenge for us. They force a lot of turnovers, and they capitalize off those turnovers. So we got to play clean football, and they're a very good defense.
All right, just so you're aware, I did ask Fernando Mendoza earlier this exact same question. So knowing that there could be two answers to this, I'm curious as to how much do you care about the Heisman Trophy, and how much have you actually thought about what Saturday could mean for the Heisman Trophy?
Yeah, I'm not, too focused on it right now. We're focused on winning this game and winning the Big Ten for, our university and for our state, and, bring the championship back home.
As I mentioned, you hustled over from class to do this interview. You're getting ready for Saturday's game, but you also found time earlier this week, and I found this pretty poignant and emotional, to go to Nationwide Children's Hospital and visit some young burn victims, which I know was deeply personal for you, considering that you needed burn care yourself as an infant. What was that experience like?
Yeah, it was special to go over there and just give back to the community, give back to those kids. And right after the Michigan game, a lot of those kids were in the hospital watching that game, and it meant a lot to them. So it was awesome for me to go there and just put a smile on their faces.
I think, Julian, that's something that folks who watch college football on Saturdays only maybe don't kind of realize, that you guys are, even in this age of NIL and rev share, you're still student athletes and you're still part of the community. What's that conversation like amongst teammates, amongst your coaches, to make sure that that remains the case at Ohio State?
Yeah, we know how much, how important we are to the community and how important it is to give back. So you'll find us oftentimes, in the off season. And every Friday morning we have a position group that goes down to the hospital too, just to give back.
It's a great way to wrap up. So much more than just an athlete, but having a phenomenal year as Ohio State quarterback. He is the Big Ten Freshman of the Year, Julian Sayin. Julian, great to catch up. We appreciate the time, and of course, wish you the best of luck this weekend in Indianapolis.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And of course, as we showed you earlier, Julian Sayin is not the All-Big Ten first-team quarterback. That honor went to Fernando Mendoza. Sayin could not have been far behind in the voting. He does have some pretty good options on this team. You can throw it to Jeremiah Smith, as we saw. You could throw it to Carnell Tate. Max Clare, the tight end, never a bad option, according to Jake Butt, our resident tight end expert. So these guys are the stars that you will see on Saturday night. Indiana stars, Ohio State stars. But, Jake, in these championship games, sometimes it's not the biggest names. It's guys who make a play when the opposition is not expecting that guy to make a play that makes the ultimate difference. So take us through some of the guys flying under the radar that you think could be championship game difference makers.
Make a good point. It takes everybody. Someone's going to have to step up for the team, for either team to win. And what you notice about all those clips was saying no one touched him. Perfectly clean pocket. So who needs to step up? It's Stephen Daly, the defensive end for Indiana. He leads the conference in TFLs. Ohio State really doesn't take any negative plays. They don't go backwards. That's your best plan, is force them to go backwards. Stephen Daly, the defensive end for the Hoosiers, when we met with the staff and Kurt Signetti, they said this guy is their most explosive defensive lineman. He's going to need a complete game wrecker. And then the other guy to watch out for is their linebacker, Isaiah Jones. He's number 2 on the team in sacks. He's number 6 in the Big Ten in TFLs. They have to create some negative plays. They have to do something to force adversity on the Buckeyes. Not many teams have done it. And then on the offensive side of the ball for the Hoosiers, Riley Nowakowski. We talk about the wide receivers. We talk about the running backs. He's kind of the glue in this RPO system. He's a great blocker. He's there for checkdowns, has had some big catches down the stretch of the season, most notably against Penn State, one of those seam catches. Talking to their staff, they think Nowakowski is the glue of their offense.
Well, you think about 23 catches on the year, but he's gone for nearly 300 yards. That's a huge per-catch average for a guy who's a tight end / H-back. It's telling you that he is able to run routes or catch the ball and break tackles. A great safety valve for Fernando Mendoza in those situations where some of his receivers are covered. Now, Ohio State is littered with stars, so maybe it's a little bit harder to find under-the-radar guys, but some certainly exist.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I was kind of torn. Bo Jackson, I mean, he's not Jeremiah Smith or Carnell Tate.
Second-team All-Big Ten.
And he has made a name for himself. He's going to be a future All-American, and he's the next great Ohio State running back. Bo Jackson is the key for Ohio State's running game. He has taken the reins, and they hand him the ball. He was untouched through Michigan's second and third level a number of times. How about the play against Michigan? You got Jimmy Rolder, your best linebacker, on him, and he made him dance out in the open field. So Bo Jackson has to have a big game. But one guy that's really underrated and does not get enough credit because it doesn't show up on the stat sheet, tight end Will Kazmarek. Watch him block. He was blocking Michigan's defensive ends, their interior defensive linemen, 300-pounders, knocking them back. He's great in pass protection. He's one of those unsung heroes that I think has played a critical role in keeping Sayin clean and getting Bo Jackson clean through to the second level. And then on the defensive side of the ball, we know Arvell Reese, we know Caleb Downs. I thought Kenyatta Jackson, the defensive end for Ohio State, was the best player on the field against Michigan when Michigan had the football, dominating their tackles,
that's a big statement.
Their linebacker. He was an impact player in that game and will need to be an impact player. And then, I don't know, again, I'm torn. Defensive lineman of the year, Caden McDonald.
Yeah, but I think we can give you that, because defensive linemen, unless you are a sack guy, you don't get a ton of attention from the casual fan, even some of the learned fans. But McDonald is going to be a huge part of this defense because if you can disrupt everything that Indiana wants to do and you can do it quickly, not allow Mendoza to put his foot in the ground, it changes everything that Mike Shanahan and that offense wants to do.
It's the same thing we were talking about earlier is when Indiana has struggled and been in close games, it's because teams have stopped their rushing attack. Well, McDonald is the key to the Buckeyes' rushing defense. After every single game, you see Caden McDonald hug and embrace Matt Patricia. I think Matt Patricia is hugging McDonald as much as McDonald is hugging Patricia. They know that together they're an unstoppable force. But again, it's Kenyatta Jackson in pass rush situations on the edge. McDonald is the key to eat up double teams, free up Sonny Styles, free up Arvell Reese, free up Caleb Downs. It's always those selfless interior defensive linemen that make it work.
I'm glad you brought up Matt Patricia. How about the defensive coordinators in this game? Matt Patricia, Bryant Haynes, two of the best. I mean, Patricia has to be probably the favorite right now to win the Broyles as the top assistant coach in all of college football in the year that he's had in year one after the questions as to couldn't this NFL to NCAA football DC transition thing work out? I think it's worked out just fine. On a personal note, I'm not so sure I've been as excited to watch a Big Ten championship game since its inception, maybe 15 years ago, as I am for this one.
We're in for a treat.
Number one
the
versus
best
number
teams
two.
in college football. Yeah.
First time in Big Ten championship game history, just the third time in Big Ten history overall. We had our first Big Ten court storm of the season on Wednesday night. Congrats to Nico Medved and Minnesota. In a Big Ten debut battle between Medved and IU headman Darren DeVries, each making their conference debut, Minnesota shocked the world. I'm not a huge fan, I got to be honest, of December 3rd court storms, but I get it. Gophers had lost 3 in a row. Indiana had been unbeaten before Minnesota's 73-64 win. Jake's over here looking at me like I'm one of the old guys yelling at the clouds, screaming at kids to get off my lawn. Let him rush the court. Minnesota, Ohio State hockey coming up tonight here on the Big Ten Network, opening up their 2-game series in Columbus. Puck drops at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific Thursday, only on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Ohio State offensive coordinator Brian Hartline set to become the next head coach at South Florida. Hartline's first head coaching job will begin with a 6-year deal at USF. Hartline, in his first season as OSU's primary play caller, is expected to remain without Ohio State throughout the entirety of the Buckeyes' college football playoff run. No angst over this move, by the way. It was both expected and, in the words of Ohio State receiver Carnell Tate, well-deserved. Now, remember, Ryan Day gave up play calling to Chip Kelly in 24. Then Hartline took over, and now another change for Day to make at the front of the offensive meeting room. But trust me, the OSU headman gets it.
You know, I'm really happy for he and his family. You know, the fact that he gets an opportunity to do this. He's put a lot of hard work here at Ohio State as a player and now as a coach, and so that's part of the profession. And as a head coach, it's gratifying to see one of your assistants get one of these opportunities. And I think he's going to do great. I think it's a great opportunity for him, and looking forward to see how he does. And so that's exciting for him. The timing isn't great, but that's not Brian's fault. That's other people's fault. And hopefully we can get some of this stuff addressed because it's. But it's like that for everybody in the country. So instead of being upset about it, we're going to embrace it. And, I'll let the team know today. They obviously will read it today, but it's good to hear from me. But yeah, the plan is for him to continue to be with the team, which is a challenge for him. But that speaks to his character, that he wants to make sure he finishes this thing out the right way.
And he will finish it out with Ohio State. I think I may have added a word and said without Ohio State. Hartline is with the Buckeyes throughout the college football playoff run. To me, this is the perfect transition if you're Brian Hartline. You go to a place like USF, you can win 8 or 9 games, you can maybe sniff the college football playoff, and you get 3 or 4 years under your belt before what I assume would be a desired return back to a Power 4 job.
Yeah, he's set up for success, and I mean, no one has a better recruiting pitch for him. He can tell any wide receiver, and it's a hotbed of wide receiver talent in Florida and all those southern states. Hey, come play for me. You will go to the NFL and you'll make a great money, and then there'll be the ripple effects of being able to recruit great quarterbacks. I think what you said earlier is the key here, though. Ryan Day has called plays. This is Coach Day's system. So whatever happens, if Brian Hartline has to handle some duties, which I'm sure he's going to have to, that's just reality with USF, you have the backdrop and the backstop of Coach Day. Now, the flip side here is Oregon. Will Stein, Kentucky head coach. Tosh Lapoy is apparently in negotiations, heavily rumored to be the next head coach at Cal. That might be a bigger challenge because Dan Lanning is a defensive guy. He doesn't call offensive plays like Ryan Day. But I think the big thing here, one, we got to fix the calendar. That's why this is a problem. But what Ryan Day talked about and what Dan Lanning has talked about, this is a compliment to your program. This is an indication of a good program. When other programs look to your staff for their next head coach, that's going to be a selling point. Even though it's a challenge now, it's a selling point for both those programs to bring in other talented head coaches.
You know, Brett Bielema once told me, exactly to your point, when I am hiring a coordinator, one of the first things I do is look at them and think to myself, could they be a head coach? And if they don't have what it takes to be a head coach, I'm not sure I want them as a coordinator. I thought that was fascinating. And I also think in the case of guys like Ryan Day and Dan Lanning and Brett Bielema and others, you have to be confident enough in yourself to hire a coach like that who you believe can be and probably wants to be a head coach, because you have to understand that they believe that you are the guy in charge, despite whatever they may desire in the future.
That's football. Like it's you want guys with big goals and a desire to succeed, and there's no bigger goal than saying, hey, you want to come on our staff? Cool, you'll be a coordinator. Oh, you want to be a head coach? Then that means our incentives are aligned. If you want to be a head coach, that means you have to dominate your role and your position with this team. Nick Saban is the standard in college football coaching in that industry. Look at his staff. Every single year he's having to reload. So it seems like some of these big programs are following the same model.
Really important, as you pointed out, that Day has all this offensive background, because maybe you focus as much on recruiting as you do scheme with your new OC. Because Hartline was a phenomenal and will continue to be a phenomenal recruiter for USF. We're going to worry about that after Saturday. You got places to go and games to cover. For Jake Button, everybody here at the Big Ten Network, I'm Rick Pizzo. As always, we appreciate you hanging with us on this edition of Big Ten Today.